Commissioner Amy Lockhart, Commissioner Justin York, Representative David Smith, Tax Collector J.R. Kroll, and former Representatives Bobby Olszewski and Scott Clayton. Is there anyone else that's here, elected official, that I may have missed? Give a wave. Welcome, welcome. Colleen Taylor is here. Welcome. So it is my great honor to introduce a true leader, a dear friend, and a dedicated public servant to you all today, Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima. Woo! And Dennis and I have worked side by side for so many years on some of the toughest issues facing our families and communities, combating the opioid crisis, protecting our children from dangerous drugs, strengthening law enforcement resources, and keeping Florida's neighborhoods safe. Through every challenge, Sheriff Lima has been a steady principled partner who always puts people first. And Scott can attest to just what a valued partner he is. He is a devoted husband as well to his wife, Diana, and two wonderful sons, Dylan and Dane. He is a great father to them. Today, Sheriff Lima proudly serves as president of the Florida Sheriff's Association, representing all 67 of our state's sheriffs. He is a past president of the Major County Sheriffs of America and a graduate of the FBI National Academy. He has chaired Attorney General Ashley Moody's opioid task force and First Lady Casey DeSantis' drug abuse prevention panel. He has advised governors and even the President's Commission on Law Enforcement. He is a proven battle-tested leader who gets results. So Sheriff Lima, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your service to our state and your unwavering commitment to the people of Florida, both on the job and as a dedicated family man. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Sheriff Dennis Lima.
Thank you so much. That was so kind. Let's give Rachel a big round of applause. She is a no-nonsense lawmaker that has really protected citizens across the state of Florida and is our go-to partner anytime that we have a new idea. And quite frankly, I don't know that we've ever seen success like this that she's able to bring home for the citizens of Seminole County. So again, thank you so much, Rachel, for that warm invitation to come up and speak. I want to welcome everyone to Seminole County if you're not from here. And I want to thank you all for being here today for this important cause. I believe our community has always valued strong leadership, safe neighborhoods, and a commitment to protecting our neighbors. That is exactly what today's conversation is about, protecting Florida's future. Congressman Byron Donalds understands something that most of us in the policing profession see every day, that safe communities are the foundation for everything else in our community. When our citizens and families feel safe, businesses grow, schools thrive, and communities prosper as a result. Florida has built a reputation for principled leadership and for making tough decisions in order to keep our state strong, safe, and vibrant. Throughout our entire state's history, Floridians have benefited from leaders who respect our Constitution, support law and order, and believe in the strength of local communities. During his time in Congress, Representative Donalds has been a constant supporter of policing. He has backed legislation to strengthen penalties for assaults on law enforcement officers. He makes sure that we have the tools necessary to combat violent crime and drug trafficking across this country. He also takes the time to listen to others, though. He has met with sheriffs and policing leaders from across this state, hearing directly from us about the challenges that we face every day. Everything from recruiting and retention to the ever-evolving threat landscape in our country. That willingness to listen and work alongside those on the front lines absolutely matters. I've spent my career protecting our country and the Marines and our community here at the Sheriff's Office. And I look for leaders who understand the importance of public safety, economic opportunity, and preserving the freedoms that make Florida so incredibly special. As we look ahead at Florida's future, it will take a leader who values strong partnerships and knows how to strengthen the foundation that has already made Florida one of the safest and most prosperous states in the entire country. I am proud to support Congressman Donalds. He understands what it takes to continue moving Florida forward, protecting the values that make this state such a great place to live and raise a family. He is the real deal. We just had a meeting over at the office. I said, every time that I see him on Fox News, on Hannity, I am so incredibly proud that he's representing our state in the Congress, but I'm even going to be prouder when he's serving as our next governor of the great state of Florida. So give a big round Seminole County applause for our next governor of the great state of Florida, Congressman Byron Donalds.
Seminole County, it is great to be with you guys this morning. Great to be in Lake Mary. And before I get to the comments, I never thought ever I would be giving a speech and comments with a swordfish behind it. Never thought that was ever going to happen. I'm not a fisherman. You have to correct me. All I see is, let me restart. I never thought I would be giving a speech with a marlin behind it. Oh, that might have cost we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. First of all, Lighthouse Seafood, thank you guys so much for opening up your restaurant. I was hanging out over here on the side, right in front of the window, and man right here told me about the marlin. He goes, "Hey, you gotta watch out. We're bringing food out." And I looked over and I said, "Oh, I know about this." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I used to wait tables. So I know exactly what you guys do." Thank you guys for the service you give to the patrons here at this restaurant. The guys on the cook line, the guys in the back who are prepping, cleaning dishes, doing everything to keep the restaurant going. Thank you guys as well. And by the way, let me also say this. By the way, if you need help, I can throw an apron on. I can get back there and do it. I know I can cook. My wife would say otherwise, but I can't. Trust me. It comes out great. Scott, it's great to see you, my friend. Scott Plankin, great to see you. Rachel, I didn't even know you had it in you. That was phenomenal. You're going to be opening a lot. We're going to make sure you do a lot of stuff. That was great. Sheriff Lima, thank you so much for your support. It really means the world to me. I really do appreciate it. Representative David Smith, I remember when you had no gray in that beard. We've known each other a while, but it's good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, David. Erin Huntley, she's going to the Florida House. She's going to do a tremendous job. We know you're going to win big. Bobby Olszewski's with us. They let you in in Seminole County. I guess they let you come in. That's all right. I hear what they do to people from Orange County and Seminole County. They make sure you go back fast. That's what they told me. It's good to see you. I want to start here, and then we're going to open it up for questions. I want everybody to remember something very important. There is a state that was the state of innovation. It was the state where people chased their dreams. It was the state where people built their businesses. It's the state where people went to go retire. It's the state where young kids went to go get an education and start their path in life. 40 years ago, that state was California. California used to be the state of innovation. California used to be the state of big dreams. If you remember, and some of you do, they used to call it the California dream or California dreaming. Well, California's dream became a nightmare. And it became a nightmare because California let go of common sense. They let go of conservative principles. They let go of supporting law enforcement and law and order. They decided that they knew more than the men and women of their state, and they destroyed California. Well, today, Florida is the state of opportunity. Florida is the state of innovation. Florida is the state that young kids go to get a college education. I did that 30 years ago coming to this state. Florida is the state, go Noles. Florida is the state where people have come in their golden years. And now Florida is the state where businesses want to come and expand opportunity and be in a state that just makes sense, that uses common sense, that stands behind law enforcement, that lets people actually keep their money and own their property and just live the Florida dream. I'm running for governor for one reason and one reason alone. My job is to protect the Florida dream for everyone who calls Florida home and to preserve and protect the Florida that we all love. That's why I'm running. I got into politics about 15, 16 years ago. I was a regular guy. I started waiting tables. Then I moved into banking, worked in commercial banking, and then from there in insurance, and then financial services. My wife and I have lived in Naples for 23 years. We have 3 kids. Our oldest is now out of college and starting his path in life. Our youngest is 14. And we're starting to get him ready, and he's 14, so we got to work with him. Anybody with 14-year-olds and teenagers, you got to work with them. But the mission we have in our home is that our own sons call Florida home, that they raise their kids in Florida, that my wife doesn't have to get on a plane to see her grandkids. She wants them to be in Florida. So my mission is to preserve the greatness of our state. My mission is to make sure that in 30 years' time, when I'm 77 years old, that Florida is still the best state in America, that Florida is still the state with the most promise in America, and that Florida shows the other 49 states how to get the job done. To accomplish this, it starts with first principles. We are still going to be a conservative state. We will always back our sheriffs, our law enforcement officials. They will have the resources that they need. When it comes to our economy, we're still going to be a low tax state, and we will be examining state budgets and local budgets to find every savings possible so that you, the people of Florida, keep more money in your pocket. It's going to be about examining every aspect of our regulations to make sure that we are the most efficient state in all of America. And we are also going to be the most transparent state in all of America. We will use technology. We will leverage technology so you, the citizens, are informed about everything that is going on in your government. We are going to look at making sure that we're driving down the cost of prescription drugs, because a state that does not take healthcare seriously and doesn't look at modernizing healthcare in our state is a state that's not going to be able to make sure that you can address your needs as we go forward. When it comes to property insurance, we are going to look at every tool possible to continue to drive down the cost of insurance. It started to happen a little bit. We see it with auto insurance. We have more work to do because you cannot be priced out by insurance and by taxes just to make sure you call Florida home. And last but not least, on property taxes. Hey, you, come on. Come on. My friend, congratulations. I know you and your colleagues in Tallahassee and the governor, you guys are going to go out there and work incredibly hard to try to find relief and provide a way to eliminating taxes for the people of Florida. And we commend you on that. What we always are going to make sure of is that that man behind you and his deputies, our firefighters, our emergency personnel, that they still have the resources that they need while we go through this. They're gonna go back to Tallahassee. The governor's talked about it. The legislature's been talking about it. They're gonna go back to Tallahassee and do what's necessary to make sure that you're not being priced out of Florida. That's what's gonna happen. We are committed to this. We want to make sure that the Florida dream is alive and well for everybody. And that's going to be our mission. That's going to be our goal. That's what we're driving towards. So, Rachel, I want to thank you. I want to thank Sheriff Lima. What we're going to do now, we're going to open it up for questions. Anybody have any questions? This is an open session. This is for you. So I want to hear from you. All right, so you got the mic right now? All right. Let's go to that gentleman. By the way, first, what kind of dog do you have? A Yorkie. All right.
7-year-old Yorkie.
7-year-old Yorkie? Awesome.
Yes. I just want to, on behalf of everybody here and ourselves, welcome you to Lake Mary, and soon hope to welcome you back again as the governor. you answered my question about insurance and property taxes. So I just say, take a yes or no answer. And I know you accomplished things that you set out to do. How are you going to get our Congress people back together again, unified to run this country? And a quick one. We left California after 44 years, about 5 years ago. Say follow the money. I say follow the dream. We have the dream here and extend it.
That's right. Look, I'll talk briefly about Congress. It's just awful right now. And I'm gonna be very clear as to why. What we are witnessing right now in Washington, D.C. is you have Democrats and their insane policies. Insane policies. This is not based on common sense. This is not a simple difference of opinion. This morning, I was at the Orlando Sanford Airport and we were doing a tour of the entire airport. We went through the customs area, and the lady that works in the customs area, she came in because she's not being paid. She's furloughed. She came in to open it up just so I can do the tour. And I had to apologize to her for the recklessness happening in the nation's capital. You know, the Democrats are saying, oh, it's ICE. That's the problem. Well, when they do not fund Homeland Security, who they're not funding are the customs agents at every airport in our country. It's the border agents who have a mission to secure this nation, and that mission was given to them by Donald Trump, and the mission was given to Donald Trump by the voters of America, because securing the border of our nation was a mandate from the American people. They've decided that they're leaving out the investigative departments in Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which we all call ICE, but the investigative arm that is investigating child sex trafficking and trying to find these 300,000 kids that were lost by the Biden administration, the Senate Democrats want to leave that defunded. Like, this is insanity. And what they're doing is they're holding hostage TSA agents who are just trying to do their job and try to keep our airport safe. I never could have imagined that the TSA agents would be popular in America. I never thought this was even a possibility. But leave it to the Democrats to make TSA agents popular, because they're Americans and they're just trying to do their jobs. And they're Americans. They're trying to do the job that they were given. They're trying to put food on their table. They're trying to take care of their families, and they're trying to take care of their kids. So when the Senate did a terrible deal in the middle of the night with 5 senators on the floor, and they sent us a bill that did not fund ICE and did not fund Customs and Border Patrol, House Republicans said no then. We say no today. We're going to say no tomorrow. And if the Democrats think that the pathway to victory in November is to defund the homeland security of this nation, they are fools. And they do not deserve power if they're going to continue to be fools like this. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you. Nice jacket, by
Thank
the
you.
way.
Easter. Happy Easter,
Happy
everybody.
Easter.
He's risen almost. Thank you for being here. I'm a huge fan of you, huge fan of Trump. I've watched what you've done with the First Step Act. I am a conservative Christian mother of a son who's in prison. So I came into the criminal justice space very tragically in 2020, but I don't regret what I know now. And thank you to Rep. Smith, who's been walking alongside me with all my number crunching and patient with me in understanding the criminal justice space in Florida, and it's broken. And I think you probably already know that, but Secretary Dixon this year spoke in front of the Senate Budget Appropriations Committee for Criminal Justice and basically said, I'm out if someone doesn't do something. And I mean, it's been ignored for many years. There's, if anyone doesn't know here, it's $4 billion budget almost, and it's still broken. They have a 3-year tenure for corrections officers. 30% of the people in prison are over the age of 50. It goes on, and it's getting ignored for so many years, and just ready for someone to just listen to the numbers. And there's a lot, I think, that can be done that's safe, that actually makes public safety better, and perhaps pays the law enforcement better and the correctional officers better by getting some of the people out of prison that we're not afraid of. And so I don't know if you just have something to speak about that space. And just because honestly, I feel like DeSantis, while he's really strong in certain areas, he has literally ignored criminal justice for the past 3 years since I've been involved in advocacy.
Well, listen, this is a big question in the state. First thing I will tell you, we are going to follow the law and be committed to the law. Law and order is the first bedrock. If you do something wrong, you have to be held accountable. Period. Full stop. That is not going to change. And I think what happens when you're talking criminal justice policy is you have, quite frankly, DAs that don't prosecute crime. And let me just make sure everybody is clear on my position on this. If there is a state attorney in the state of Florida that decides of their own volition that they are not going to uphold the law, that state attorney is going to be removed from office. Full stop. Full stop. Because then you can't even get into some of these other issues if you have leakage and not upholding the law and following the law, undermining sheriffs, undermining law enforcement. If you can't do that, you're nowhere. So we are going to do that. I think the key things, if you're in the system, what we want to see happen is that people are getting the credentialing they need and they get some of the assistance to transition back out. Because at the end of the day, if you're in the prison system, you're still an American. Unless you're illegal, then we're going to work with ICE and we're going to get you out of the country as fast as we can. Because then you're going home. You ain't staying here. We're sending you back to your home country. But if you're an American, you're in the criminal justice system, when you're done serving your time, you're coming back home. We want to make sure that you have the skill set to come back home and actually change your life and not go down the same path that got you to where you are. I think that's critical. And those are the things that we're going to be examining and look at. And I want to say it again. When you're an American and you come home, you have that second chance afforded to you. We want people to be able to be empowered to use that second chance to make a better life for themselves, to be a father to their kids, which is a big issue going on. Fatherless homes with guys who are in the system now, and then they come out and they get $50 in the bus pass. And then how do they put food on the table for themselves and actually be a father, help their kids understand the decisions that they made that went wrong, so you can actually improve society and make a better society. These are things that with Sheriff Lima and the other sheriffs in our state, we'll be talking about these issues, working on these issues. We want to make sure that we have a very strong criminal justice system in our state. That will remain, that will continue. We also want to look at the avenues of people that when they are getting out, they actually have a pathway to be successful in their lives going forward so they don't reoffend. And that's the key thing, so that they don't reoffend. We'll go there, and we're gonna go to you, then we're gonna go to you, and then my lady in the Freedom shirt, did you raise your hand? No, I was the lady behind you. Behind you. And then the gentleman in the plaid all the way in the back. That's what we're gonna go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Me too.
5. Got it.
The pressure. Hi, my name's Connie, and I am from Orange County, so don't send me home too quickly.
Only Bobby O has to go back quick.
I won't come over to his side of town. After Jackie spoke, I wanted to ask you, you talk about protecting law enforcement and making sure everybody's safe. What is your stance on that? There's no air conditioning in our Florida state prisons. So not only the incarcerated, but we are asking these correctional officers to work more than 12 hours a day sometimes with no air. So whatever you're all feeling outside, it's about 15 degrees inside. There's a lawsuit right now with Miami that 4 people died due to heat-related illnesses, and they had an heat index of 119 degrees. I had an air conditioning pilot program put in by the House and the Senate last year, and of course, the governor vetoed it. I wanted to see, I'm hoping you are elected governor, would you support a pilot program to bring air conditioning just into the sleeping dorm areas, not the whole facility?
Well, I can't speak to a pilot because I have to examine all the details around it. But what I will tell you is that, yeah, some of these facilities are very outdated. There are some that flood very, but let's just say it's not something that any Floridian would tolerate.
No, but
They flood very badly. You're right about the air conditioning. And these are things that we're going to examine and make sure we do the necessary repairs.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We're going up? Oh, yeah, right here. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Welcome to Seminole County. My name is Carla Bradka, and I am a grandmother and the results of living the American dream. I would like to ask you, what is your first thought when you think of future generations so they can continue to achieve the American dream in that beautiful state of Florida?
Thank you for the question. First, it starts with education. Well, actually, before education, it starts with family units. Strong families build strong kids. Mom and dad at home are the building blocks for strong children because they actually see modeled in front of them the male-female, husband-wife, mom-dad dynamic. And what kids see, they mirror. What they see, they mirror, and that's actually what comes out in adulthood. So we want to make sure that we are supporting fatherhood in our state. That's important. We want to make sure fathers are at home, because a father in the home significantly impacts not just the social dynamics for a child, but the academic attainment for a child, and then their ability to be real, to be value added to not just their personal household budgets, but to communities and to the economy overall. Specific to education, our goal is going to be that every child in our state will master math, reading, and writing by the time they graduate high school. Mastery of core skills. Mastery of core skills is going to be critical in the economy to come. Everybody's talking about information age, AI, and all the other things. Here's the truth. If a child doesn't have strong mathematical and reading comprehension skills coming out of high school, it's going to make it very difficult for them in not just today's working world, but in the next working world, where, yes, innovation is coming. And so we want to make sure that our kids are prepared for that future. Second thing, I think that credentialing is great. I think we have a lot of kids who probably are not going to college. Give them a pathway to success in the trades. Apprenticeships need to be a bigger part of education, because if a kid can actually be in high school, do an apprenticeship, figure out a field that, you know what, I like this because this classroom discussion isn't really mattering to me. Being able to go into an apprenticeship, learn a business model, learn a skill set, really master that. If that just speaks to them personally, you have no idea what they could end up doing with their lives. It's about empowering these kids and empowering their parents to help them be in the right position, not just when it comes to school, but also when it comes to their economics and their personal career paths. And if we can help them do that at an early age, that helps them set them up for success. And then the beauty of life begins to take over. We're coming to you with the microphone. Here it comes.
Hey there, thank you for coming here today, and thank you, Tim, for hosting the Lighthouse Seafood here. It's a great place.
Do me a favor. Come on, step up. Yeah, there we go. Let everybody see. There you go. Okay.
All right, so I'm in healthcare, also a new grandma, so but not
Congratulations.
But during COVID, there was a lot of people following blind science and manipulated science around the country, and different states were put into terrible situations, lockdowns. We have family in Pennsylvania and in New York. Couldn't go to funerals, couldn't go to hospital bedsides, things like that. And our Surgeon General of the state of Florida, and as well as our Governor DeSantis, fought against that and dared to stand apart. Where everyone else is drinking the Kool-Aid, they were pouring sweet tea. So I want to know, if you're elected as our governor, will you follow the same type of principles and keep us a free state that we are, and elect people that are going to stand up and challenge the medical science that was, again, so heavily manipulated? Our Surgeon General did a great job of weeding through that and narrowing it down, and we actually came out of it very, very well, compared to our Democratic blue states.
So the short answer is 100% yes. 100%. Now, let me give you the details. When I was running for Congress, this is back when the COVID lockdown started all across America. I was still in the state house. I was running for Congress. When I was running for Congress in Southwest Florida, this is when the governor came out with his order that said that local jurisdictions cannot issue mask mandates. I'm in the middle of a congressional campaign. The polling had come out, and in Southwest Florida, which is not too dissimilar from Seminole County in a lot of areas, you had a situation where the polling suggested that mask mandates were popular, especially with older populations. There was a county commission, no, it was a city council meeting that was in a couple of days. And one of my supporters called me and said, they're trying to pass a mask mandate. The governor just outlawed them. Could you come? And without thinking about it, I said, I will be there. A friend of mine calls me who's in politics. And I went to that meeting, by the way, and I told that city council that they had no legal authority to issue a mask mandate. The governor had issued an executive order, and that you have to follow the governor's order. And if you think that you can override the governor's order, you're going to get sued and he's going to shut you down. He is doing the right thing. Follow his order. I had a friend call me after who's in politics, and he goes, hey, I heard what you said. You got to be careful because in your campaign, some people like masks. And I said to him, well, then I'm just going to lose the campaign then. I don't care because what's right is what's right and what's wrong is what's wrong. And so when it comes to, and I'm gonna wrap it here, but when it comes to not just medical freedom, but following the actual science and looking at the actual information and not being caught up in the dogma, Governor DeSantis was right then, and he led the state in great ways during that time, better than anybody else. We are going to continue the same standard. We're not just going to follow the music that the big press says or what a bunch of elected officials say, because I've served in Washington. I know how wrong they can be. And it takes strength and courage to look at them in the eye and say, no, I'm not doing that. And you're going to have that when I'm your next governor. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, I have two. I'll spit them out real quick. One of them is on the property taxes. I know that it's been a concern or mentioned that there would be too many things on the ballots so that it would break up the vote. We wouldn't get the 60%. So I'm wondering if that will be addressed so that it will be a definite yes or no and not end up getting just kicked out or lost, because that's an issue that I'm really concerned about. But also, and my other thing is, and this is not about taking away anyone's rights to their freedom of religion or anything like that. This is something that there are apps for. We're having a ginormous mosque built right outside my neighborhood. We're in a wildlife-filled, very quiet area, and I am concerned about like the possibility. I don't know yet what it's going to be. If there's going to be the call to prayer like bellowed out 5 times a day, every day, starting at like 5 in the morning. So that's something that I haven't been able to get an answer to. And I wanted to see like as far as like noise pollution and like just interruptions to our peaceful surroundings. Like,
well, the first answer to, I'm going to answer the second question with the mosque. Number one, that's definitely something that I'm assuming it's here in Seminole County. That is something that the Seminole County Commission has to make sure doesn't happen, because you don't want to have, essentially your peace and your property interrupted by that. And I just think that's where, not to speak of the mosque, put the mosque aside for a moment. That's just where good neighbors respect good neighbors, and the local county commissions definitely manage that. Specific to what's kind of happening along this side of just this individual mosque, we do have a problem in the United States with radical Sharia. We see it in Dearborn. They're trying to do it in Dallas. Similar situation. They're trying to do a similar situation in Tampa, Florida. Sharia law has no place in the United States. Period. That's it. I'm a member of the Anti-Sharia Law Caucus in Washington, D.C. We are actively studying this right now and trying to figure out what the legal parameters are. But let's just be very clear. Sharia law and Western civilization are incompatible. Incompatible. And as governor, there will not be any Sharia enclaves in the state of Florida. You have my word on that. That will not happen. Now, to the property tax thing. Let me talk about where it is today. Where it is today is that the House has come out with one proposal and one proposal only. The Senate doesn't have a proposal yet. They're going to go into special session, and it looks like what's going to happen is there will be one proposal on the ballot, not several. I know there was a concern of that when a bunch of legislators in the House put out different proposals, which is pretty normal actually in the legislative process. You'll get a bunch of different ideas, and then they'll kind of coalesce and consolidate behind one idea. What's going to happen in this special session is that there will be one idea that gets coalesced between House and Senate. So I don't think we should be overly concerned about there being multiple things on the ballot. Okay? Yes, sir. I didn't forget you, by the way. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure meeting you.
My partners and I own a fairly large swath of downtown Orlando. My partner also was responsible for getting Buddy Dyer indicted for voter fraud. Our current governor was smart enough to let the people who were the industry that is responsible for voter fraud, meaning 501s, NGOs, a bunch of people that used to follow the mailman, collect the ballots, and mark the ballots. Actually, they were done at the 501s and NGOs. That's done all over the United States today. If we do not fix the SAVE Act, if we do not pass that, we have no hope in this country. I can make a very strong case that somewhere between 15 and 17% of the total vote in Florida, before Ron DeSantis changed the law, scared the bejesus out of the people that collect ballots, that we would now not be a Republican state. They can manufacture as many votes as they want all over the United States. I have no idea whether California is a Republican state or a Democrat state. If you don't fix that, you fix nothing. Absolutely nothing. Buddy Dyer was guilty of it. Various Republicans were guilty of it at the time. Okay? And I don't doubt that there are Republicans that are doing it today. We also have a problem in the Senate today. We talk about the Democrats. We got Republican senators that are not passing the SAVE Act. If we don't pass that, we're wasting our time, folks. We're wasting our time. We're wasting our money.
So, first of all, I agree with you 100%. The Senate needs to pass it. We've passed it in the House. We've sent it there. I'm one of the reasons why I think it's time to end the Senate filibuster is because of this issue and several others. But the Senate filibuster has proven now that it is not a tool for compromise. It is not a tool for compromise. It is a tool of outright obstruction. The only group of elected officials, of people in the country that oppose the Save America Act are elected Democrats. They're the only ones. Even registered Democrats here in Seminole County, registered Democrats approve of the Save America Act. Look at every poll that's been conducted. So it demonstrates that the Save America Act actually cleans up our elections process in a major way. Well, I will tell you, the problem in the U.S. Senate. I agree with you. We're in agreement. The reason why it doesn't move through the Senate is because we have 10 Republican senators, 10, who want to protect Senate procedure over protecting American elections. That's a fact. Because they will keep the Senate filibuster in place while the Democrats hold hostage the United States Senate. And they don't even have enough guts to go to the Senate floor and debate this issue in front of the American people. You want to filibuster a bill? Filibuster it the way the Senate was designed to filibuster. Not this get out of doing your work thing that they do with the filibuster rule that they have today, which has only really been in place for about 120 years. Because people say, oh, the filibuster is a part of the Constitution. No, it's not. The filibuster wasn't even in original Senate parliamentary rules the way it is today. They concocted this to make their jobs easier. And what is happening is the United States is not being responsive to the policy needs of this country, not because of the House of Representatives, but because you can't clear the Senate filibuster. You want to talk about funding for TSA, ICE, border agents? The reason why it's not done today, the Senate filibuster. You want to talk about energy policy in this country, where we still think that somehow solar farms are going to give us the baseload power that we need? That's because of the Senate filibuster. You want to talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, one of the worst agencies ever created. They created it under Obama with a filibuster-proof United States Senate. It's there because you can't repeal it because of the Senate filibuster, and I'm the guy with the bill to repeal the CFPB. Me and Ted Cruz. You can't get it through the Senate filibuster. People want to talk about housing and affordability. People want to talk about housing and affordability, not just in Florida, but around the country. We have arcane regulatory rules around procuring raw material for housing and just about everything else, and then permitting housing. There are arcane rules. You can't get the changes through because of the Senate filibuster. Because if you try to get Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and Jeff Markey on board, you have to adopt a piece of their radical policy, which actually makes it more expensive for the American people and sets the American people back. So, sir, I am 100% with you. This is where I stand with the president unanimously. The Senate filibuster needs to go. The United States Senate needs to operate the way the Senate operates in every state in the country. My colleagues here from the Florida House, the Florida Senate does not have a filibuster rule. If a bill goes to the floor, it's an up or down vote. The New York Senate Assembly does not have a filibuster rule. If it goes to the floor of the New York Assembly, their Senate, it's an up or down vote. The California Senate doesn't have a Senate filibuster. If it goes to the floor of the California Senate Assembly, it's an up or down vote. Every state in the country, except Oklahoma, because Oklahoma is unicameral, every state in the country, their Senates don't have a filibuster rule. It's only in the United States Senate. It is not working. And John Thune and the other senators up there who think that they're preserving Senate procedure to preserve America, no. By preserving Senate procedure, they are preserving a century of progressive democratic policy that has made it more expensive for America, made it harder to defend America, and make it harder for this country to survive for another 250 years. Sir, I agree with you. Hi. I told you I was going to come back to you.
Yeah, praise the Lord.
How are you?
I know God brought me today in this meeting. I'm Republican. I'm from Russia, and I live in America 30 years. I'm citizen, of course, here. My husband American. He been on Russian mission trip 32 years ago. And Jesus was appearing in my home in Russia 34 years ago. And 4 o'clock morning, and he told me he had planned for United States America. He said he give me husband and send me to America. After 2 years, I met with my husband in Russia. And I pray for America 30 years. And Lord told me, I will show you many things what's going on in this country. He showed me step by step what doing Democrats. I call them not Democrats, I call them communists. It's what how Lord showed me. Yeah, I was pray hours, and not because I somebody. He does. He used me like battle against Satanists, against witchcraft spirit. It's very show in America, and we need to pay attention what they're doing. It's sorcery, witchcraft. It's witches who working in the night against God's people and against even pastors. We are in the spirit of warfare. And Lord told me, my plan for United States America taking back this country for me. And before I received my visa, when my husband invited me on marriage after he come back to America, after 9 months, I've been for my visa to come to this country and was visit Bill Clinton in Russian embassy in United States, from United States, in Russia, in Moscow. And everybody was left, was big line waiting for different purpose to come to Kiev for visa. And Lord spoke to me, stay and wait. After a few minutes, Lord opened door and removed Bill Clinton from my way. I prayed outside. I said, Lord, if this you plan to send me to this country, you open door, not one man closed. And Lord opened door, I received my visa. Same day, Bill Clinton was in Russian embassy in Moscow. My point is, God brought me here. I'm his tools. I'm not better than somebody else. But I pray always for the country. I pray for Donald Trump. Lord told me about Donald Trump. I go to church with Paula White. She knows I have a special message for Donald Trump from him. And I just wait time when I be delivered this message to Trump. I am here for a reason, because God has a beautiful plan for this country, and He fight for this country, for taking back from enemy.
So I want to say thank you for that. I do. I believe that there is spiritual warfare against our country. I do. We are a grand design of self-government. And the grand design of self-government is only possible with a God-fearing people. Because we understand that we respect God the Father, God Almighty. And we understand that because He is the author and finisher of all of us, not just our faith, but all of us, then that actually humbles us enough to respect each other and to live in a society that is free, that respects individual liberty, personal property rights, the ability for people to exchange goods and services, to build wealth, retain wealth, pass that on to your children, and actually continue family dynamics. We are a great country. Let me also say this right now. We're a great country. And I do believe that there are psychological operations happening in social media and other parts of our media to diminish this country. You cannot beat us militarily. Our military is too good and too strong. The Iranians and their 5 Ayatollahs have figured that out over the last 5 weeks. They've just figured it out. You cannot beat us economically, because that's what the Chinese have been trying to do for 35 years. The Russians tried to beat us economically during the Cold War. That didn't work out for them. You can't beat us economically. You can't beat us militarily. And so what the enemy is doing now is they are trying to separate us and divide us from within. From within. We have to be mindful of the building blocks and the principles and the foundation that has made America what it is. And let's be clear, we're not always going to agree on everything, because we're human beings. And unlike the Democrats, conservatives and Republicans, we are not lemmings. We're not lemmings. We just don't follow the leader. That's not who we are. We are always individually minded. We always have our own viewpoints. That's why we create businesses and find different ways of doing, in some respects, the same thing. If we just followed blindly, then Lighthouse Seafood would look like every other seafood place. And they told me in the back, they do grouper here in Lake Mary better than anybody. They said to me. But I think it's important as a conservative movement, forget the Republican Party for a moment. As a conservative movement, we have to understand something very clear. The only way the radical left defeats us is if we are divided. That is the only way, because their ideas are stupid. They're not based in common sense. They're not honorable. You can't even follow them long term. They're not consistent. Too many people are left behind by them. They give out these sweet promises that sound real good on the campaign trail and in a 30-second ad. And then when you ask them, okay, now put it into work, they can't do it. Let me give you Exhibit A, Zorhan Mamdani. Look, sounded good on social media, all the followers, and now he's running New York into the ground further than Bill de Blasio ran New York into the ground. Their radicalism, and you are right, the Democrat Socialists of America, the reason why they call themselves the Democrat Socialists of America is because they realized 90 years ago they couldn't go by their real name, which is communists. They can't go by that. So the fundamental principles that have made Florida great and have made America great, I'm here to tell you, as your next governor, we are going to stand by those principles 1,000%, because we are not going to allow the radicalism of the left to creep their nose under the tent in Florida. And what we also are going to make sure we stand up to do is that these random psyops on social media We are going to speak truth to these things because it is meant for one thing and one thing only, and that is to divide the conservative movement so we can't defeat the radical Democratic left. That is its purpose. I believe that we have foreign governments who are using this against the American people because they know they cannot defeat us, especially when you have a president like Donald Trump who is solely focused on making sure that the American people are first. I'll allow a question from the press.
I was just going to ask about redistricting. I mean, you're a representative. There's a plan for a special session of redistricting. Do you think that's an appropriate move for the Republican Party? Do you think that's going to be advantageous for the midterms?
The question's about redistricting in Florida. Do I think it's appropriate? Let me just say, hold on, I'm going to answer his question. Stay right there. Don't move. I'm going to answer his question. Do I think it's appropriate? Yes, I do. I support the governor and I support the legislature of what they're going to do. Here's the better question for the left, for the press and the left. I guess sometimes, not you, of course. Look at what's happening in Virginia. Abigail Spanberger didn't run for governor saying she was going to redistrict Virginia. They have a congressional map that is 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. Right now in Virginia, she's out there pushing a congressional map that has 10 Democrats and 1 Republican in Virginia. 10 Democrats, 1 Republican. If you actually look at congressional maps in every state, and I've looked at them, the gerrymandering that everybody says they're against, the Democrats have mastered that thing for 20 years. Have you seen the congressional districts around Chicago? And how they basically strip mine Chicago and take it out into the suburbs to generate more congressional seats? Or let's look at it this way. Let's be very clear. The Biden administration bungled the census on purpose. Florida should have got 2 congressional seats, not just 1. 2. New York should have lost some. California should have lost another one. So is it appropriate to look at the true movement of people in our country and say, you know what, we're going to redistrict? Yes. I think it's appropriate. And so I support Governor DeSantis and what he's doing. I am not talking to them about the details. I don't know the details of the maps. I think as a member of Congress, I should not know the details of these maps. That is left to the legislature and that is left to the governor, but I fully support what they're trying to do. They're pulling me, man. I'll let you shout it. Go ahead. Shout it. And I know the man behind you got 1, 2, and a half. But you gotta go quick because now I'm in overtime. They're gonna get me in trouble. Oh, I got 2 of them. All right, hold tight. You're number 2. You're 1. Shout it. Give it to me.
All right, I got a question more from Florida. I think it's a national question. To run for governor.
Yes, sir.
Here's my question. Do you agree with school choice in Florida? Will you continue it, expand it, or revise it? And do you have any ideas on how you would improve upon it? I'm a public school teacher. I support that.
How would I improve? What was the last piece? Improve.
Well, what would you do with it the way it is now? Would you provide change anything?
So, to the first part, I support universal school choice. I supported it when I was in the legislature. I actually passed one of the major expansions of school choice before the state went to full universal. I was the author of the Hope Scholarship when I was in the state legislature, and that got passed and that was in place. So I fully support it. We're going to continue to do it. What we're going to look at next is the accountability structure of all Florida schools. Because it doesn't matter what school you go to, what parents want to know is that their children are getting the best academic environment to prepare their kids for the future. So whether it's public, charter, private, parochial, micro, religious, we want to make sure that the accountability system is consistent so parents are armed with the information they need to make the best choice for their child.
I can't pick my class like charter schools can, private schools can.
Oh, hold on. Oh, you can't. No. Well, slow down. Charters can't do that. I'm telling you this. I opened a charter. I was on the board for one.
We can't pick like if I want to introduce a finance class for my students when they need it. I don't have a say in it. It's just shackles.
That's a question for your superintendent. That's the superintendent's. That's the superintendent's got to make that decision. What I will tell you is that when it comes to the thing about being able to pick your students, well, really private schools are the only ones who can kind of do that.
No,
But
curriculum, not
the curriculum,
the curriculum.
the superintendents approve that. The state of Florida lays out what the curriculum mapping that's available. The superintendents are the ones that pick that. And by the way, we want to actually make sure we're doing full curriculum reviews. We actually want to bring the science of reading back into Florida schools because phonetical reading is critical for a young kid being able to excel in reading. So that's the stuff that we want to do. But when it comes to education, and I'll end here, and I'm gonna go to your questions. I know you picked up the phone, my man. When it comes to education, I'm agnostic on the school at this point. Like I said, whatever a parent decides to send their child, that's the parent's decision. It's not mine. What we want to make sure happens is that when the child is in that seat, that child is getting the very best education. Florida is in the top 10 of the United States, depending on what measure you look at. The United States is 37 in the world. So it's not like we're hitting on all cylinders. We want to have a world-class K-12 educational system here in Florida. That means supporting teachers. That means having real accountability, universal accountability. And I've talked with Governor Bush about this. And even he recognizes that his accountability system has to be updated and modernized for where we are today. That's what we're driving towards. All right, last question. My man over there with the hat. Last question. Absolutely. And I will tell you from White House Seafood, it smells great. If they didn't have me moving, I'd sit down and eat, but I got to move. But go ahead. This is a great question. I'm glad this is the last one. It's a wonderful one. The first thing is housing. 30% of the cost of a new home is government. 30%. That's all the permitting and planning costs. In Florida, what we are going to do is that we are going to modernize all our permitting and planning to squeeze government costs out of that system. We can't talk about affordability and then don't make changes to how we approve these jobs. Because the 30% additional cost that a contractor has to pay or a developer has to pay, they're not paying that. You're paying it. When you go buy the house or when you go rent the apartment, you're paying that. So what we want to do is drive down permitting and planning costs in our state by modernizing our systems so those costs from government, to be blunt, are not being passed on to you. That's only right, and that's only fair. If we do that, then what happens is, if people are in the resale market, if a new house is 30% less, 25% less because you got rid of a bunch of the excess costs out of the system, then you can't resell that house for what you thought you could because new real estate is coming in cheaper. Number two deals with transportation. Transportation costs or transportation time. If it takes you 45 minutes to get to work, that's gas in the gas tank that you're having to pay for. We're going to make sure that we're picking up the ball from Governor DeSantis. We have to get our infrastructure built very, very quickly so that it actually makes it easier for you to go to and from. If you can decrease your commute times, decreasing your commute times is more money in your pocket. All right. So those are the two things that the state of Florida can control. When it comes to food, I was actually talking with some of our farmers, and we were talking about packing plants. What I had learned, I didn't know this, is that there are basically three major packing plants in America. Two of them are owned by the Brazilians. Two of them are Brazilian companies. One is still owned here in the United States. They went through this period of buying up all of the independent packing plants, and then because it's a cottage industry, they have full control over the price spectrum. This is a federal issue now. There are new packing plants that are coming online. They're being permitted to come online right now. We think that's actually going to help decrease the cost of beef in particular and other items. That's food on your table. So those are the big three that we're looking at. The first two are the ones that as governor, I get to control. All right. And that's how we work and do constructive things to make it easier. Oh, the last thing. And we just got approval of this out of the federal government. I was working with the Department of Housing and Urban Development on this. Since the financial collapse in Florida, if you were going to buy a condominium, you had to put 25% down in Florida. We got the rules changed working with the Department of Housing and Urban Development that Florida will now be on par with every other state in the country. So depending on your loan, you could put 3% down or 5% down. That's real savings for a young guy like you trying to work your way in, trying to figure out where am I going to rent? Where am I going to buy? How's my girlfriend going to say, okay, he's stable. I think I'll give this guy a shot. Because that's part, I was 25 too. That's part of it, But these are the things, these concrete things we have to make sure we do to address affordability in a meaningful and substantial way. So those are the goals and the plans that we're going to follow. The stuff on the condominium down payments, that goes effective August 3rd this year. That's already a done deal. We made sure we got the deal secured from the Trump administration. That's already happened. All right? Thanks, man. Guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it all. Sheriff, Rachel, David, thank you. God bless everybody. Scott's doing a great job holding the baby. That's awesome. Bobby, yo. Love you.